Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas NFL Stadium news update live stream is now. Welcome and happy post St. Patrick's Day. And yes, I elected to do this live stream indoors, really to pay better attention to the social media exchange and what you said. Although the one I did a week ago outside was pretty effective, I thought. But welcome, and I welcome you to this live stream, and I apologize for the perturbations in my schedule, but this has been one unusual week, just for me, to say the least. Also, I have a new feature. Well, it's not really new, but I activated it, and the system now allows you to have something called super chat. So you know how comments fly by as they're going to do after a few minutes? Well, hey, how you doing? Dearest Gray, how are you? And thank you, Raymond, appreciate it. Ronald Harris, how are you? Anyway, as I was saying, good afternoon, everybody. As I was saying, you can now use super chat to have your message posted in a way where it's static. It costs you $5, but it's active now to do. I'm also proud to report that the stream status, according to the YouTube dashboard at Zenny62 for live stream, is good. And so I'm going to go over to the watch page and say hello, everyone. Basically, hello, everyone. And mute my voice because I had the volume up to tell everybody, in the interest of full disclosure, I was watching the latest Wonder Woman trailer. That is going to be, if the trailer holds to the movie, an incredible path-breaking film. I have waited since I was 6 years old for the Wonder Woman movie, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm just letting you know I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan, and since the age of 6. So, and Tac Files wants to know, can you do live stream from a phone? Actually, you can. I'm using YouTube Live Mobile, and I have it set where I don't take calls during this session. I let anyone know that may think of calling me between this time not to, because I'm not going to pick up the phone to call. But I am one of a number of YouTube partners with subscriber bases over 10,000 who have been permitted to use YouTube Live Mobile. In fact, I think I'll do another live stream just on how all this works, because there isn't just that much written about this for the iPhone and for mobile. Hey, Barry Lee, how are you? Great to see you too as well. And El Monte, welcome. I know it's... Now, getting back to the subject matter at hand, yes, it is 1 week plus for the vote. And the good news is that Zenny62 Media will be at the NFL annual meeting. I already have the hotel room. I've had it for some time and was credentialed officially a few days ago. And proud to report that once again, we will be bringing you a unique view of the NFL annual meeting, this time using live stream, not just the static videos. So I'm really excited about what is going to transpire at the NFL annual meeting here at Zenny62 on YouTube and Zenny62.com. And not only that, I have a new feature. If you go to Zenny62.com, the live stream actually pops up in real time on the left side of the page, okay? So I'm really excited about this. I really am. Now, let's clear up some misinformation out there. Just let's deal with information out there regardless of who it came from. First of all, I want to tell you that there is an idea, and you're wondering why I'm looking down. Right now I'm taking the title and I'm putting this out on social media, and I'm actually improving the SEO here, okay? Now, there is an idea that was expressed that Oakland doesn't have a plan. And Oakland actually does have a plan. But the bottom line is neither does Las Vegas, if you want to I mean, Las Vegas really doesn't have one. Las Vegas has a huge number of problems. And I'll get to those problems in a second, but I'll focus on Oakland and what Oakland has for those of you who are not informed. First of all, it's more than just we have the land. That land has been approved for use by the city and the county, the city of Oakland, the county of Alameda. Not only that, the plan calls for the NFL to have control of the entire 105 acres if it wants. What is to be worked out right now between the parties is exactly what form of exchange that land will take. There are a number of elements that have to be done there. But the bottom line is Fortress has spent last week in multiple conference calls with the NFL, basically eliminating issues and really just drilling down to now one. And that one issue is the Oakland A's. But it can be handled. This is me talking now as a person with urban planning background, urban economics, done market studies for developers, done market studies for clients, sports business simulations, which you can go to right now at sportsbusinesssims.com is my website that contained my game where you could actually run the business of the Oakland Athletics. It was used at 40 high schools and colleges around the country, even in London. But I digress. The point I'm making here, hey Jeffrey, how are you doing? The point that I'm making here is that the major problem, or with not the major problem, but what needs to be done that's remaining with in the Oakland case is such that a development schedule could solve the problem. And again, this is me talking. And what is a development schedule? Let's say you lay out 5 years. You have 1 to 1.5 to 2 years for what's called pre-development work, which includes market studies like the ones some of you may have seen, architectural drawings, detailed architectural drawings, not just artist renditions like the one that was posted by the Raiders last year and was originally used in Carson. That's just not that one, but ones that actually are solid. And then that's generally 1 to 2 years. And then stadium construction is another 2 years. So, and then soft opening and launch is about another few months. So you're talking about 4 years and 2 months to get a stadium going, from approvals to there. The approvals have been done in terms of the land, in terms of the general plan for the area around the Coliseum, what we call Coliseum City. The city has approved how much it's going to spend on the project. Fortress has presented its financing plan, which includes that. So all the basics have been done. And as a top sports finance guy reminded me, and I will tell you, having ran and run sports business simulations to this day, folks, this is not rocket science. We're not talking about building a photovoltaic cell, okay? We're talking about building a sports stadium. We're talking about building a building. We're talking about building a kind of a giant house. So that has to be reminded. The only thing that makes these deals complicated are the interplay between politicians, and I'm talking about specific to the NFL, politicians, team owners, the NFL, and fans. And that's what makes it, and of course, the persons that represent the different organizations involved in getting the deal done, from investment bankers to lawyers to architects to market analysts and so on. That's really what makes it complicated. And in this instance, what really makes this complicated, on top of all that, is the fact that this whole thing from the Las Vegas perspective was rushed. Completely rushed. Now, what I'm trying to do here is explain that Oakland is ready. It has a plan that pencils out. So any idea or word to the contrary should not be paid attention to. I'm just being honest. And I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm being honest. I know sometimes honesty comes off as insults, but sorry about that. Now, the next steps, I'm looking down here so I can finish the SEO and meta tagging while I do this. And you would say, why don't I do this before? Because if I use a phone the way it's set up now, YouTube doesn't allow you to make a pre-event vessel, okay? And so when you have to start the stream first and then basically tag it as you go along, that's just the way it is. And that's what I'm doing. Fortunately, this process doesn't take a long time to do. And, it's to the point where I can talk to you and do it at the same time and basically multitask, right? So that's what I'm doing. And right now. And if you are, I was going to say something here. If you are interested in being a YouTuber or vlogger, my suggestion to you is simply, when you make your videos, this is a little bit of a digression, meta tag them. That's very important. Meta tag them. Hey, thank you very much, Corey. Appreciate that. Thank you. Now, back to the news updates. I believe I've got that out of the way, unless anyone else has a question. Oh, Claudia Capio put out a quote to the San Jose Mercury News that I think should not have been done, because she said that there was in terms of work, about 6 to 8 months more work that needed to be done, and then Claudia didn't do this, but the other person filled in, the author filled in the idea that it would be nice to postpone the vote. But what that ignores is the simple fact that they're ready now, okay? A lot of this is ready right now. It's not at the Stan Kroenke stage where they were already moving dirt and everything else, right? Stan Kroenke just said, I'm going to build this thing. Forget it. And he just started building it. But what he basically said by action is, I'm going to build this and the NFL has to stop me, but I'm going to build it anyway. That was a ballsy move. That was a ballsy move. But he had the money to do it, and the backing and the experience. He's a real estate developer. The Oakland situation is not there yet, but it could easily be there. It could easily be there. In fact, I think that would be the better way, just to say, you know what? We're going to build a new stadium anyway. And we're going to plan this out, and we're going to plan everything for the Raiders, and basically force the issue on the NFL. Say, hey, look, we're building this thing. Approve it. That's the kind. If I have to make a criticism, and I've made criticisms in the past about the Oakland effort, if I have to make a criticism, that's my one criticism, is the less than desired level of aggression. Because in all aspects of life, pursuing women or getting the right job or competing, you have to aggressively pursue that. And I say pursuing women, and someone will say, oh, you're being sexist. Okay, so I'm only talking from my standpoint, from how I think as a man, okay? But as a straight guy, okay? But let's turn it around. Let's say if you're a woman, the same facts apply. If you want to get the job and prove you're the best, you have to aggressively do it. You can't sit back and hope and pray that someone out there happens to see that you're the best. It does happen, but you have to tell them. You cannot sit in silence. You have to be aggressive and push your agenda. So again, it works whether or not you're a man or a woman. I just want to get that out of the way, lest someone misinterpret what I'm saying, which is easily done these days. My point is that Oakland could be more aggressive, but having said that, what we have on our side is time. And what I mean by that is not time in the future, the time and groundwork laid in the past, going back to the Quan, even before the Quan administration, the Delms administration, then Quan with Coliseum Attorney Larry Reed, Oakland District 7 council member, who is really the mayor on this project. And then, of course, putting together the plans for the area around Coliseum City and the approval of the different land parcels, which has been done by the Planning Commission. All that, and we had the public hearings already. But that's something else people forget. We've already had the public hearings that would go or be necessary to build the stadium and development at Coliseum City. That was done 2 years ago. Okay? 2 years ago. That's done. So we're at the point now where details are to be filled in. And this gets back to why I believe Claudia Capio should not have spoken to the Mercury News, because people like yourself might hear it and say, oh my God, we've got all this work to do, we're not ready, and they're going to reject us. No. No. We're at the point where, in talking about Oakland, the NFL can accept knowing that these details have to be done. But these are details that have to be done anyway to build something. That's just a fact. So, that was an unfortunate, that was a faux pas on her part, but, fortunately it's not something that breaks a deal, okay? That's just, the good news is that not a lot of people read the Mercury News, so there you go. Just stating a fact. Now, getting back to the live stream so I can see your questions. Let's see here. And so Raymond Paz says, DJ, thank you. Raymond Paz, P-A-Z. So which is a better option, Vegas or Oakland? Does the NFL value Vegas over Oakland? Or is the market size too small? Is the Vegas proportion better, or is Ronnie Lott's proposal more NFL friendly? Well, that's a very good question, Q. And I'm putting that down there. It's a very good question. And so the answer is that Roger Goodell has stated several times that he prefers that the National Football League have a presence in the Bay Area in Oakland. He has said that repeatedly. Now, that hasn't changed, but what perturbated the climate of the NFL's thought as a whole was Mark Davis getting Sheldon Adelson to successfully lobby and bribe and cajole, or if some would say threaten, the then Republican-controlled Nevada legislature to approve the hotel tax-fueled $750 million subsidy to be paid for over 30 years, should it be activated, which, as you know, would happen only if the NFL approves the Raiders' relocation to Las Vegas and the stadium construction begins. And the stadium is open by 2020. Now, or stated to be, because it'll kick in before that. Now, that action really put Oakland under a spotlight, but the good news is that Oakland was already, because of Carson, in a better position to present a new stadium plan. Sure, there are disagreements here and there, but that Nevada legislature action last October, it didn't so much accelerate what was already going on in terms of Oakland stadium planning. It was happening. City staff was working. A number of people in economic development I know were working very hard already. They had been for the last 2 years. So that's already in place. Remember, Floyd Gebhardt, for all practical purposes, set the tone for this before his demise, if you will, or ouster. Now, now in terms of which one is most NFL friendly, you would have to say that it's just got to be Las Vegas, because, not Las Vegas, I said Las Vegas, but you would have to say it's Oakland, because the problem with Las Vegas is that Las Vegas is not just 1/3 the size, almost 1/4 the size of the Bay Area. It is so small in terms of base level wages, that whether or not a person can afford to buy a ticket, let alone a season ticket, is a major question. Let me elaborate, because I know some of you are going to talk about the casinos and everything else, which is something else. Let me elaborate. An entry-level job in Las Vegas pays an annual, yearly salary that is $492 below the poverty level. Below. Okay? That is unheard of in the Bay Area. I'm not saying you can't get jobs here, but we have an aggressive a set of minimum wage laws that don't guarantee, but do make it more likely you're going to get a job that, even in a restaurant, that pays a minimum a living wage. By contrast, in Las Vegas, you can get a job at a restaurant that doesn't pay you a minimum wage. And you're hoping you get tips in an environment where tips are less, okay? Now, that, on top of all that, Las Vegas lacks an income tax. So, they don't take in, they being the state of Nevada, enough money to fuel their entitlement program resource needs. Now, I don't use the term entitlement program as a pejorative. There are such things as, healthcare programs, and by healthcare I don't mean just the overarching ones. I mean such things as transporting the elderly to and fro, care programs for people who are disabled. I can go on and on and on. There are a myriad number of programs that receive assistance from the government that help sometimes you and I were in our later years of life. But without an income tax, you're left to fend for federal sources and hotel tax sources to pay for them. Now, you would say, wait, hotel tax sources? And I would say, yes. Much of Las Vegas and Nevada's hotel tax revenue, I should say more appropriately Clark County, is already used to provide services. So that $750 million chunk, the now Democratic-controlled Nevada legislature sees that and says, hey, you know what? We could probably use that for some healthcare and education services and education programs that are underfunded, right? Because again, they don't have a state income tax, and then on top of all that, their wage levels are so low that it's difficult for people to effectively pay for all the services that they need out of pocket. Now, let me get to your questions here. I apologize. Let's see here. Brian F., I do know. All you have to do is go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and analyze it. But then all you have to do is talk to, you say Summerlin and Henderson, talk to any of your representatives there, they'll tell you. Talk to any of the Clark County Clark County commissioners, they'll tell you. And I mean, regardless of party, Democrat or Republican there, they're government officials, elected officials. And they haven't lied to me about the situation. So I think it is you, Brian F., who have an incorrect view about the place you live in. Now, you might want the Raiders and all that, that's fine. But you shouldn't want something in complete ignorance of how your government works, or wherever revenues go, or what's used to pay for. I've covered CES for the last 8 years. I go to Las Vegas every year, sometimes 3 times a year. But I also talk to officials there. And my background's in urban planning, so I know what kind of questions to ask people. I know what kind of numbers to run. I know where to go to get my information. Like the Bureau, but bls.gov, which is where I direct you, okay? So I don't just say this. I know what I'm talking about. As painful as it is for you to hear, I know what I'm talking about much better than you do. Now, now, Casper, how you doing? And Casper says, let me get, before I get to your question, let me go back because there's some inputs I missed. Corey Brown says, if the owners vote no to Vegas, is that a no just for now, or does it allow Mark to fix any concerns or request another vote? You know, that's a very good question. But the way the NFL works, I have not seen in any instance an owner be allowed to basically take a no vote, fix the problems, and come back unless the owners say that. And I don't know yet that, and we'll have to find out the annual meeting if there's going to be a hunger to even allow that to happen. What the NFL would do is not that. The NFL would simply say, look, we're not ready. The vote isn't ready at this time, so we're not going to have it. That's the way that would work, okay? I mean, that's the way it worked with Carson. We thought in 2015, the Carson vote was going to, 2014 through 15, the Carson vote was going to happen earlier than it eventually did, which was early 2016, okay? Because there's a lot of work to be done. The NFL had special meetings, but also the NFL was focused on filling the Los Angeles bases with a team. hence the extra meetings. I don't sense there is that kind of urgency in this case, so I don't see that happening. Now, let's see here. El Monte, it doesn't matter what Goodell says. He has no vote and will do what the owners want, right? El Monte, that is true. But I shall have to tell you the number of owners that, look, if you're a Raider fan, you shouldn't necessarily trust the NFL staffers in total to inform the owners with respect to what they need to know regarding Oakland. The good news is that's not happening. There are a number of people with Fortress and other organizations that have direct pipelines to the NFL owners and are informing them on their own. So that's the good news. Now, let's see here. I can't pronounce this, but it's whatever X. Zinni, don't you think that the NFL won't let that $750 million Las Vegas is offering slip out of their hands? That's what everyone keeps saying. But why? I mean, look, it's a good question, all right? But I offer you this. When the $750 million was approved, the cost climate for the stadium was completely different. Why? Because Sheldon Adelson was involved. And the debt climate was as well. Why? Because Sheldon Adelson was involved. Mr. Adelson, not just with the $650 million gap that he was filling for what was said to be, it was really more than a $1.9 billion stadium, but he said he would pay for every other cost. Overruns, everything. And that helped to cover over a gigantic error. A gigantic, huge error. And that error is this. First of all, when the SNTIC, hey, by the way, as a momentary aside, if you want me to actually see your comment, use Super Chat and post it so that I can see it. These things are going by fast. I'm going down here to the watch page on YouTube to scroll back, but I'm not catching everything. You want me to catch something, post it there. All right, it costs you $5, but hey, there you go. The bottom line is, the simple fact of the matter is that the Vegas situation is how I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this that can be understood. All right. Sheldon Adelson was the biggest, if you know what an angel investor is, the biggest angel investor ever. Willing to just give his money without interest or desire to make the entire amount back. Remember, he said in an interview with Yahoo Finance, I think the kid was his nephew or something, that he wanted to get something back for his investment, but he didn't stipulate he wanted to recover everything plus, like a bank, right? That was huge for Mark Davis, the Oakland Raiders owner. That was huge, okay? So under that climate, in that situation, we had it where the fact that the Senate Bill 1, the Nevada legislature passed, included a provision where the developer had to pay for an inadequate amount, okay, of transportation, infrastructure, upgrades, and additions off-site, was completely ignored in the previous SNTIC pro formas and PowerPoint presentations. And so what happened was that between the political meddling with the legislation and the economic presentation of the Las Vegas NFL Raiders stadium proposal, this little provision was allowed to creep in there. This is a very important point, folks. And it's very important because what happened was that in the original documents laying out the sources of funds and the uses of funds, when transportation infrastructure improvements were mentioned, it was assumed that the state and local governments would pay for the whole thing. But then the legislation had it written in, black and white, that the developer was responsible for putting an adequate amount, didn't state what that was, an adequate amount of money to make transportation infrastructure improvements off-site under the direction, or basically I'm paraphrasing in this instance, under the direction of the Nevada Department of Transportation and related commissions and boards. I'm paraphrasing the legislation. One of those organizations being the Southern Nevada Regional Transportation Commission. So here we are with what Chris Giuliani says is something the Raiders should pay all of, $900 million, but the law says just an adequate amount. So really, she's overreaching. Okay, she's overreaching, and others on the RTC are overreaching as well. But you say, what's the logical choice? Well, you split the middle. Not only that, for the idea of, okay, it's 50%, but also because the NDOT report calls for paid improvements for the 3 major interchanges near the Russell Road site, which the Raiders still haven't purchased yet, and still could be bought by anybody. Just letting you know. Now, the situation is that there was no calculation done up to and beyond through December the whole development pro forma that included that fact. You have to remember, when the subject of how to pay for offsite improvements came up, not only were state and local government sources assumed to be available, right, for that, but Craig Cavalier of Majestic called for a tax increment financing district. But then that tax increment financing district was taken off the recommendations, the final recommendations, because it was taken off the final recommendations because Adelson said he'd pay for everything, and on September 13th of last year, if memory serves, Craig Cavalier said, we're out. Majestic is out. So that's why I question the idea of Majestic wanting to walk back into this situation when the tax increment district they asked for wasn't there to begin with, so they couldn't recoup their money. And Adelson turned around and said, don't worry, I'll pay for it, and he's gone. So they're going to come back into a situation which is actually arguably worse, where you have the $750 million on the one hand, right? But what you now have is over $1 billion in debt that wasn't there before. So now, why should the NFL say, oh my God, there's $750 million of public money that we have to get, when there's over $1 billion in debt that has to be paid for, that didn't exist because Mark Davis and Mark Bourdain made a mistake in their relationship with Sheldon Adelson, excuse me. Okay? So the $750 million doesn't look as good as it did last fall. You see what I'm getting at? Does that answer your question? All right, hold on a second. Now, let's see here what I'm missing. I think I got that. Let's see. DJ Nason, hey, first of all, who, wanna, what? Did I answer your question? Let me know. DJ Nation, how are you doing? Zenny, do you believe the other owners would do the right thing and reject Mark's relocation to Vegas? I'm really hoping Vegas gets rejected and we get a new stadium in Oakland. I'm all for Oakland. I would be, look, given the election, I would say it's possible, but I would be surprised because the Vegas deal does not pencil out. It just doesn't. And why would any NFL owner want to stick a fellow NFL owner in a situation where that NFL owner would certainly, more often than not, in terms of analysis, lose money and be evicted? Why do that? Unless, of course, they're going to give him extra money, and I haven't heard anyone talk about doing that. Okay? Now, let's see here. Crawford371. Hey, Crawford, how are you? One county in the Bay is bigger than Las Vegas market. Yeah, that's true. Contra Costa. Barry Lee. It makes more sense for the Raiders to stay in Oakland because, not including all the corporate sponsors, but they can play right where they are while a new stadium is built. And that's very true. And, you know, you've got a 20,000 season ticket base. And I ran into a number of season ticket holders over the past week who will say if the NFL allows the Raiders to move to Vegas, they will dump their season tickets. Dump them. Wow. Now, Brian F. says true entry-level job holders will not be buying season tickets. That's true. And Brian says, I don't know about the area and all that, and come out to Summerlin and Henderson. Hey, Brian, I want to make one other thing clear here. I don't hate, as someone asked me before, I don't hate Las Vegas by any means. Hold on a second. I just had a little drop here. I don't hate Las Vegas by any means. But first of all, I love Oakland. I believe the Raiders should stay in Oakland. And NFL teams aside, I don't think any NFL team, I don't think Las Vegas is ready for the NFL. It just isn't there yet. And it's the problem, the issue I have with Las Vegas from a standpoint of projects like this is, in Nevada, is the lack of overall effective planning. You know, you can't say we don't plan because, you know, we're conservative and we're right wing and we believe in the entrepreneur. My response to that is, hey, you have zoning. You're gonna tell me you don't plan and you have zoning? Zoning tells me where I can and cannot build. That's planning. All right, that's planning. So my point is that Las Vegas and Nevada really need to sit down and say, you know what? Collectively, where do we want to be versus how the United States and the world economy and the social economy and demographics are changing? How can we get there? How much does it cost? And how do we make them? How do we raise the money? And then, equally important, how will all these changes impact us? Like, for example, our water usage. What are the positives and negatives? And then they can drill down and say, in order to build an NFL stadium, and in order to make sure an NFL team is appropriately financed in a way that doesn't break the public bank, this is the number of companies of a certain type we need at these wage levels and these sizes. And then go out and get and grow those companies and give themselves a 5-year window to do it. Because economic development, you can do it. You can attract different firms to your area. Not just tax incentives, but land, projects. Las Vegas actually has a great tech project going on in downtown. I think it's very exciting. More of that. And then peg a number. For example, when Jerry Brown became mayor of Oakland, Jerry Brown said, hey, you know what? I want to launch the 10K project. I helped on that as an employee through the mayor's office in economic development. What is 10K? 10,000 people in Oakland, downtown. He wanted to build more apartments, called it elegant density. That was a clear plan that anyone could understand. It had a lot of holes in it because it wasn't a true downtown plan, but he did peg a number. I haven't seen Nevada peg numbers like that. That's planning. So, okay. Now, I think I got more Casper's and Brian's and True. Okay. Let's see here. Raider Mark. How you doing, Raider Mark? Let's see. Raider Mark says, let's get real, man. This team fucked us over. Raider Mark, I'm done being a Raider fan at the end of this month. Well, if you know Raider Mark, I feel your pain. Raider Mark says the Raiders are gone. You know, and let's see here. Let's see here. You talk about this city cannot support a team. That's not true. I'm not a Raider fan. I'm actually a Packer fan. Okay, thanks for proving my point. Best steak in Vegas. The owners approve. Brian F. Here's my point. If the owners approve, it doesn't mean the deal's good. Okay, it doesn't. I'll make you this bet. I'll bet you, within 5 years, the Raiders have financial problems. If the NFL owners allow that move. There's nothing that's going to stop me from saying this deal is a meal. See, now you got me thinking about Vegas steak. You said best Vegas steak. That's at the Venetian. Now, can I turn that around? Will you buy me the best Vegas steak if the owners agree to have the Raiders stay in Oakland? You have to remember, only need 10 votes, 9 votes. But my point is that even if the deal goes through, all right, even if the deal goes through, it's still a bad deal. You have to remember, we won't have 1 week. There's nothing that's going to transpire that all of a sudden is going to make the deal look like the best thing since sliced bread. I'm sorry. It does not pencil out. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. So, that's it. Now, no, DJ Nason says, Brian, you need to sit down and be silent. You obviously don't know a thing about the situation. All right, Zinni knows what he's talking about. Go on, Zin. No, I don't mind that Brian says that. I'm not having nothing personally against Brian. He doesn't have to agree. That's not what this is about. This isn't about necessarily to agree with me, at all. Let me rephrase that. This is not the form where you have to agree with me. No, I just ask that you disagree with me respectfully, and Brian is doing that. So you have to give Brian his props. He's being respectful in his exchange, and that's what this is all about. That's fine. So, let's see here. Let's see. Raider Mark, Brian F says BS to what I just said about Brian F. That's confusing. Whatever. Anyway, Raider Mark, the owners want Vegas. They're thinking Super Bowl is over how we lost and it sucks. Hate this. What can we do? Raider Mark, look, if the NFL really wants the Super Bowl in an area like Vegas, all they have to do is make special plans to put it there, like with the Pro Bowl, right? So all this stuff about, it's going to be better because of, it's going to be better with the, because they want the Super Bowl in Las Vegas and all this. Really? I mean, somebody, my whole point is the NFL's already playing special games in Mexico. They play special games in London. They had the Pro Bowl in Orlando, then Honolulu. Now it's back in Orlando, right? So why can't they do that with a Super Bowl? If Las Vegas is that special a place to have the Super Bowl, the NFL could do that without moving a team there. In fact, you know what? That would be a smart thing to do as a trial run to see how Vegas actually handles large crowds like that. It'd be kind of an expensive trial run. It'd be even better is to have the Pro Bowl as a test, because the NFL needs to see how Vegas operates. This is a giant unknown, a huge unknown with a lot of problems. And the question is, okay, how do you do that with the existing structure? Do you have something as Sam Boyd and you expand that? That's a good question. There's nothing there to really do that. So therein lay that problem. It's a problem. The best case I could think of is to do a really good simulation of how the team and the stadium would behave in that environment. A visual simulation, also a numerical one. Numericals, I can do that. But people want to see visuals as well, in animation. And you can see the problems and everything else. That's something else. But the UNLV needs a stadium. What about that? And maybe the NFL could play a test game there to see how the region responds. I think that's the smart thing to do, particularly with an area that's on the cusp of being able to appropriately host an NFL team. It's not there yet. It's just not there yet. Hold on a second. I'm just doing one more post here. And on Facebook. Okay. Now I'll get back to your questions. Okay, let's see. The state of the city of Las Vegas can use $750 million for something else state needs. True. That was German Garcia Parida. Airplane Blues. Airplane, how are you? Las Vegas is a desert. How can they handle tens of thousands of people flushing toilets at once? Airplane, that's an excellent, excellent question. And the answer is there are technologies used at, for example, the Gillette Stadium to recover water in an efficient way. But that said, there's never been an infrastructure weight test like the one an NFL stadium would put on the pipes and water handling systems and the sewer systems within the city of Las Vegas. And it's not just the flushing, it's also, for example, water runoff after rains, waste handling, all of that. I mean, the question is, can this infrastructure really handle that? And that answer has not been provided. I would be very fearful to put something as large as a stadium that could handle a Super Bowl internally in an environment around the Las Vegas Strip right now without that test having been done. That test has not been done. This is all a guess. And I think it's a guess with a lot of very bad consequences. Now, Raider Mark says, why would you support a team that doesn't care about the fan base? They left twice. They don't know how to run a franchise. Stop being a sheep to Mark Davis. Okay. Austin Obriga says, Oakland or bust. Austin, how are you? German Garcia Parida. Airplane Blues. Ha ha ha. Crawford 371. People don't realize Davis now has a huge tab. He has a $750 million gift from Adelson and let it slip out of his hands by trying to cross him. Actually, he has a $750 million gift plus a $650 million gift that he let basically slip away. Okay. So, yeah, you're talking about something like, yeah, you're talking about a good 1.5 billion in gift money that Mark Davis lost right there. Okay. Now, Brian F. says he's a Packers fan who lives in Sumlin in Nevada, who travels to 3 or 4 games per year and will support the Raiders when they move to, there. Raider Mark says, Raiders are like a cheating wife. DJ1 Nation, Raider Mark, I'm no sheep to anyone. If I want his sheep, I would be working for Mark, but I'm a real fan and a season ticket holder. Crawford 371. Is there a chance Nevada repeals SB1 and starts over? There is that chance, Crawford 371. There is that chance. DJ One Nation, and I don't like any decision Mark makes, especially with the desire to move to Vegas, okay? German Garcia Pareda, a true Raider fan would stay a fan no matter where they move. Jermaine, I kind of disagree with that. I mean, let me ask you. If you found out that someone you liked, or your girlfriend or wife or whatever, I'm putting it in parlance from my perspective, did something inappropriate to you, cheated on you, would you still love them? Okay. If they consistently emotionally abused you, would you still love them? Being a fan is essentially being in love with an institution. You can also, or a person. You be a fan of a person. You're in love with what they do. But if they do something inappropriate to you or outside your bounds would you consider to be morally acceptable, I'm telling you, you're not going to be a fan at all. So I completely disagree with that. A person has a right to dislike an organization for something they did that person considers wrong. There's nothing wrong. That's fine. Okay. Now, let's see here. Sunwoo Ko, yo Zinster. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Zinster's out there. Welcome. And Brian says, no chance Sandoval won't sign. Hey, Brian, can you complete that thought? DJ One Nation, thank you, German. Raider Mark, Noah Sheep will continue to follow the team. Raider Mark's right. DJ One Nation, so you're a sheep as well. You guys are having a little argument here. All right, let me kind of scroll through here. That's interesting. I'm not going to read. I'm going to get to the questions. You guys can fight among yourselves, but I'm going to get to the questions. Let's see here. Brian F. says Clark County doesn't need the state approval to start a new TIF or similar tax district. The county board is 90% with doing that. But, whoa, time out. Brian, I'm calling BS. First of all, they took it out of the legislation. Okay, A. B, you, by saying that, don't really exactly know how your own government works. You guys are under a different type of structure than home rule. You don't have home rule, okay? No. You don't have home rule in Nevada. The legislature gets to tell the county how its taxation system works. The county can overrule it because of the passage of Senate Bill 24 2 years ago, but only in specific instances. The county cannot necessarily impose its own new tax, as you're suggesting, in that way. Okay, it has to be, the legislature has to allow that. So that's why I'm getting at when I made the comment about you're not familiar with how your own government works in Nevada. I'm more familiar with it than you are. Okay. It's called Dillon's Rule. Dillon's Rule works like this. In Dillon's Rule, there's some places in the United States, I want everyone to pay attention, okay? Dillon's Rule says that, to make it really simple, the state legislators direct taxation structure and rates for the counties. That's Nevada. Nevada is under Dillon's Rule. California is under home rule. What is home rule? Home rule is where the cities get to set their own tax rates in the counties. Okay? In this instance, Alameda County sets property tax rates. The city of Oakland can set its own business tax rates, and so on. That's called home rule. Nevada does not have home rule. You understand? I'm going to repeat that one more time. Nevada does not have home rule. Okay? One more time. Nevada does not have home rule. Nevada has Dillon's Rule. So you can't just say, oh, we'll start a tax increment district on our own. It has to be, particularly with respect to the stadium issue, it's got to be rewritten. And the only way to do it in the legislation. The legislation has to be rewritten. And there's no stomach for anyone to do that. It's not there. Okay? It's not there. You want to test for yourself, Brian? All you got to do is this. Okay? Go to Google. Then do search for Nevada, Senate Bill 1. The stadium legislation will pop up, I believe, first or second result. Click on that PDF. And then just do a search for tax increment district. It'll say result not found. Or not found, okay? It's not there. It ain't there. Now, let's see here. Let's see here. John Hakaya says, biggest mistake of all, this was City agreeing to 10-year lease with A's. It's not really a 10-year lease. You know, I hear that a lot, and it has option years. It's not really a 10-year lease. And something else, too. People act like these documents are set in stone in the case of these lease documents. They are adjusted by supplementals all the time. I have, for example, the Raiders' original master lease agreement. There were, as I can remember, about 8 different supplementals. Supplementals are adjustments to a lease. That can be adjusted. Fine. Now, we're not talking about the 10 Commandments. Set in stone, thou shalt not kill, that sort of thing. That's not what we're talking about, okay? So, Joseph Jones, if they approve the move, and when Davis defaults on the loans and relocation fee, who at that point would own the Raiders? The bank. Well, actually, the bank wouldn't own the Raiders. This is what would happen. It would be actually worse. Mark Davis would still own the Raiders. So take out what I said. That's wrong. Mark Davis would own the Raiders. The bank would own the tenancy. The Raiders would be made homeless. They would have to find another place to play. Come back to Oakland, right? So basically, Las Vegas just unwittingly set up a situation where the Raiders might wind up coming back to Oakland anyway if the NFL owners approve a Las Vegas move because the whole dang thing didn't pencil out. Oh, that's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. That is a very real scenario. Very real. Not the scenario, but a very real one. Now, let's see here. Brian F. claims one county commissioner is trying to run for another office, so she opposes it won't work. Look, Brian, just remember, man, you don't have home rule. It's Dillon's rule. You got to go to the legislature. You have to have SB1 change to put in a tax increment financing district. All right. Oh, and by the way, the reason why that TIF district isn't there is because the hue and cry among many that there was too much public money going in and that they wanted it cut back. And so the tax increment district got cut out, and Adelson said, hey, I'll pay for that. Don't worry about it. And now Adelson's gone. Now, Barry Lee says, Zinni, I just can't see the other owners voting yes for Vegas because with $2.35 billion at stake, if Mark Davis can't make it work, then the other owners would be stuck with floating the team. That's right. That's absolutely right. Sue Wong Kong, it's okay, Zinni, I'll hate Las Vegas for you. I love Las Vegas. I really do. I really do. But as Jermaine Garcia Purdy says, Las Vegas is too small. Corey Brown, I see different super chat apps in the Play Store. Is there a particular one you're referring to? Let me research that another time because I don't want to get off topic. And I should have that down, and I don't. I apologize. All right, now. Let's see. Suwon Kong. Zinni doesn't hate Las Vegas. He loves it there. Just cannot see Raiders and Vegas put together like I see it as well. Vegas and Raiders are just not a good fit at all. Or Vegas and the NFL team right now. Las Vegas is not ready. And let's see how hockey does. Why is everybody in such a hurry? Chill. Let's see how hockey does, all right? Who won a what? Who won a Wonga? Let's see here. What if some of the team owners vote yes in hopes that Mark will have to relinquish the Raiders after all that debt he gets and is unable to pay? Well, here's the thing. The way it's written, he would be homeless, but not so he wouldn't lose ownership of the Raiders. So anybody betting on that idea doesn't quite understand how the scenario is written, okay? Now, ultimately, in order to pay off his debts, would he need to sell? Maybe. Yeah, because, see, here's the problem in the Vegas parlance. He doesn't own anything. The Las Vegas and Nevada people have made it clear, the attorneys of Mark Arnold have made it very clear, hey, you don't own this, we do. And we can kick you out if you don't pay. They're already treating him like, what do you matter? And if they make him sign a no relocation agreement as was called for, then Mark Davis and the Raiders are fucked. Excuse my language, they are just fucked. You lose your tenancy, you're homeless, but you can't relocate? What? Has anyone bothered to think this through? I say no. No, not at all. Let's see here. Mark Davis, let's see what here. Let's see. Raiders won't have home field advantage anymore. And you know what? That's right, because hey, Brian F's a Packer fan, right? So the Packers come, who is he going to be rooting for? Not the Raiders. He just proved it. He's a Packer fan. He goes to Packers games. So the Packers come to Vegas, he's rooting for the Packers, not the Raiders. In spite of his protestations to the contrary that he'll be a Raider fan. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Let's see. Lindale Richard, how are you? Everything Oakland fans bash about the Vegas project isn't written in stone and can be all ironed out in due time. Stop hanging your hats on that and just enjoy your final 15 games as an Oakland Raider. But Lydell, let me test that. What can be hammered out? What? No one wants to change the legislation. I don't want to give you the answer. I want you. You think you know the answer. You tell me. What? You can't just see it. This is the Zinster pool. You can't just say shit. You got to know shit. What are you talking about? What do you mean? I want to hear that. Because I'm all over what you got to say. There is no chance you can come up with something that justifies that intellectually sloppy comment you made. Bring it, please. I'm waiting. Okay. Now, Airplane Booze. Yeah, Las Vegas will have too many bandwagons and other fan bases filling seats. Sue Kong, bets are on. Brian, if you're on, Mark Davis will have sold by then. But if Mark Davis sells, it just proves it's a bad deal. Okay? Fine. Hey, it could happen sooner than that. But yeah, it's a bad. Well, the bottom line is let's just do dinner, all right? Fine. We can argue over the check over dinner, or maybe we get Sheldon Adelson to pick it up. Anyway, because I'm telling you, if we go where I want to go, that's gonna be a huge ass check. But the Faritas will ultimately own the Raiders. Now, the NFL doesn't want that. Even an organization has previous casino ties like they do, and they've said so they don't want that. Soon Kong, don't apologize. Z, spit facts. You got it. Jermaine Garcia Pareda, Zinni, how does the Mexico Raiders sound to you? Does Mexico have the infrastructure in terms of sewers and everything to handle an NFL? Yeah, of course they do. The Mexico Raiders. I think Mexico deserves an NFL expansion team. I think Mexico City deserves an NFL expansion team called the Mexico City Invaders. There you go. The Mexico City Invaders. There you go. Now, yeah, one-game Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Or Pro Bowl. What does UNLV bring to the stadium financing? Hey, Corey, I'm glad you asked that because I'm going to write this. UNLV Stadium Finance Question by Corey Brown. Question of the day. You know, one day I'll get somebody to sponsor my question of the day. Right now, that's the question of the day, okay? And my answer, UNLV treated like crap in Nevada Senate Bill 1. They pay rent. Rent. Raiders do not. That's a huge problem. Now, what I mean by that is this. If you read Senate Bill 1, I suggest you read it carefully many times. There's a lot of words. It specifically states that the University of Nevada, Las Vegas will pay a rent to the stadium events company in exchange for their right to play at the stadium. That's the plan. But the Raiders are not assigned a similar requirement within the Senate bill. So basically, the Raiders get off scot-free and are able to say, oh, we'll pay $1 rent, right? But UNLV has to pay rent. Maybe UNLV also just cavalierly say, fine, we'll pay $1 too. Okay. So my point is that UNLV, if anything, should get the gift, of a rewritten Senate Bill 1 that treats it like it's not having to fend for cash on its own, and yet it sits next to Colorado, which did pay, I believe, $536 million for a new stadium for, I believe it was Colorado State. One big grant, no payback. There you go. That is what UNLV should get. That's not what UNLV is getting, and that's wrong. Now, and UNLV has never raised more than, $236 million in any one effort. Now it's got to, raise $200 million for this stadium. Percentages don't look good for them. And a number of people in Nevada know it. Now, and something else too. Coy Brown, does that answer your question? Anyway, let's see here. Airplane Blues laughing out loud. Why is the NFL okay with UNLV and Raiders shared stadium? Well, I mean, that's typical. Look, the Minnesota Vikings share their stadium with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. There are a number of examples like that. That is not uncommon. Airplane Blues, isn't the whole point of the A's and Raiders getting new stadiums because OCO is old and they still share one stadium? Yes. Corey Brown, the flush slot of toilets in even hotter Phoenix. I lived both places, okay? Let me see if I can get to some more questions here. Let's see here. Airplane Blues, could you imagine an empty 65,000 seat stadium because no one travels to the game? I can imagine it half full. DW, I think it's a bad move. Makes no sense to move the team to Las Vegas if your fan base isn't in Las Vegas. That's right. Dan Dog, how you doing? Dan Dog. Dan Dog says, like LeBron, when he left, they hated him in Ohio. Yep. Yeah. In fact, that's I could not provide a better example. That's right. There are people who still hate LeBron for that back and forth. Right? Now, Raider Mark. After this fails, Mark Davis is going to run back to Oakland like a little whatever. Brian F., the state took it out. Took what out? Su Wukong, Raider Mark. Wait, are you talking about the TIF? But then again, this goes back to my point. The state government in your state of Nevada rules. When you guys elect a governor, for all practical purposes, you're electing a king. That's what Dillon's rule gets you. You're electing a king. Whew. Now, let's see here. Jeremy Garcia Pareda. I live next to L.A. and I became a fan of the Raiders, not a city. This is a sport business. Well, that's your choice. DJ One Nation. My bad, Zen. It was in that moment. It shouldn't be. It's in the Raider blood in me. Haha. But seriously, we were talking about the stadium issues. So here go. So go on, brother. Thank you. Raider Mark. Raiders are like Raider Mark. Raider Mark, you make some references that are vulgar, and I can't recite your ideas if you use vulgarities, so please don't do that. Concentrate on stating your ideas intellectually, fully. But all this stuff, I don't cotton to. Now, let's see here. Where am I missing? Let me get to some more questions here. Let's see. Airplane Blues says, if Oakland was a struggling team, this Las Vegas talk would be all shot dead. But since Oakland is on the rise and our fan base is loyal, the NFL is testing the waters. It's not the NFL, it's Mark Davis. You have to remember the commissioner doesn't want this. But the commissioner has said repeatedly he wants to see a long-term stadium solution in Oakland. Okay. The good news is the commissioner is getting from Oakland a long-term stadium solution. Now, over here, just a little social media housekeeping. Bear with me for one bit here. Let's see. Share. Yeah, cool. All right. And here. This is on now. One moment. I'm just typing. Now, let's see here. Hey, Zinni, will you interview David Cavall and ask him if he talked to Bedane or Davis regarding working something out in Oakland? Do you believe the A's already know their final site for a new stadium? DW says my videos are all informative. Thank you very much. Thank you. Informative. Thank you. I believe they do. The A's want Howard Terminal. But as I've said before and say again, Howard Terminal is a tough land preparation cost egg to crack. It just is. And Howard Terminal has been floated as an idea and analyzed since 2000. So, yeah, the turn of the century. And it was easier to consider Howard Terminal as a site before Governor Jerry Brown killed redevelopment in 2011. Now it makes it more difficult. It really does. The Coliseum always scored out as a better location for the A's. The best location was Uptown. You say, where is Uptown? I've done this before, but bear with me. For those of you who don't know Oakland, Uptown Entertainment District, this is Broadway. That's Telegraph. This is the Uptown Entertainment District up to 22nd, okay? Beyond that, it's Olive Row in that direction, okay? And then San Antonio. Anyway, and the A's Stadium would have gone here, right across from what is the street from Telegraph and what is going to be Uber's headquarters and was the Sears building headquarters, all right? But in June 14th, 2002, at 12:20 in the afternoon, Jerry Brown said, and I quote, "There will not be an NFL stadium, there will not be a downtown stadium in Oakland as long as I'm fucking mayor." He said that. So, what scored out as the best site for the Oakland A's was booted out for apartments. Okay, now, let's see here. Hey, Zinni, I read the Beach Report. Jason Close says the owners will vote for Las Vegas. Okay, so I can't see that happening. Anyway, I just can't. I can't see. Well, excuse me. Let me take this out because I contradict what I just said. I could see the owners voting for a dumb deal. Okay, but then the question is, why let him do something dumb just because he wants it as an NFL owner? That would be the only reason. But, I mean, I don't care what anybody says. And the reporters don't know how to do numbers. They just don't. It doesn't pencil out. The deal does not pencil out. Not only that, you need 9 no votes. 9 no votes. So anyway, there you go. Now, okay, what's next here? Jerry Jones said on Dallas radio, well, yeah, but that's no surprise. Jerry Jones, that's fine. Okay. Now, let's see here. I know Arthur Blank's not going to. Because Arthur Blank said to me he can't see Oakland or Raiders without the name Oakland. That's on video. All right. Okay. So, let's see. 22 safe votes. Wait. 22 safe votes. You need 24. You need 24 votes. Not 22. You get 22 safe votes. Sorry. Ain't happening. You have to remember, it's not 50-50. You got to get 24 of 32. You got to get 24 of 32. Now, 24 of 32. Not 22 of 32. You need 24 of 32. Okay? 24 of 32. Now, let me get to some other issues here. And let me ask a question. Why, I mean, you guys observe this. Why don't you read this on your own? Why are you so quick, even with me, to just talk about what somebody says rather than what the documents say? Because the documents are your guide. I mean, how many of you, by an answer to this question, either yes or no, have read the SNTIC documents? All of them. Not just some of them or one of them, all of them. First of all, do you know what SNTIC stands for? Let me know. Give me an answer, someone. Do you know? I'm gonna write that. Question. Do you know what SNTIC stands for? Okay. Okay. Just question for everyone. Hey, Walter Spargo, how you doing? Answer. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. Yep. Walter's got it, right? Yep. If all I'm honest, right. Got two right. 559 campus says YL. I don't know what YL is. Walter, I salute you. How are you, sir? Walter, what do you think about all this? I want to see your comments. What do you think about all this? Stairway Heaven says, did we get a price? On what? I missed that. Oh, I missed that. I missed that. Let's see here. I'm just putting this on Pinterest right now. Considering it's the middle of the day and it's the NCAA, this is not bad. I'm putting this on to tag on the NFL. Cool. Now, a price for the answer? No, you don't. Not this time. But you know what? No, not this time. That's not the nature of this one. It's so easy, anybody can come up with it. But you know, a lot of people are not answering. So, yeah, free shirt. You know, free shirt's a good idea, but in this instance, there'll be a lot of people answering really easy. Matthew Silva got it. Can you give us your opinion? Here's a good question for Matthew Silva. I'm going to copy it. Copy paste, excuse me. And he wants to know, let's see here. So you give us yes, some of those, I think some of those antagonists are also working for the publications just to, you know, advertise, right? Let's see here. This is your question. All right. This is your question, Mr. Silva. Now, someone says, in all honesty, none really goes on in a room full of billionaires. No, I do. Billionaires are people. Let's see here. Now, this is Walter Spargo. Walter lives in Reno. Walter says, I'm a bit perplexed by it all. Back and forth between the sides of the issue is old. Also disappointed that my state legislature fell for this scam. Yeah, it's pretty much looking like that. Let's see here. A's don't deserve to be disrespected by an owner who's blackmailing the city. Now, Airplane Blues comment leads to a question that I wanted to address by Mr. Silva. It says, can you give your opinion on why the A's aren't working with the Raiders? Well, I think the question isn't why the A's weren't working with the Raiders, is why the Raiders aren't working with the A's. And they've tried in the past, but now, unless things are changed. And I hesitated that way for a reason. They're not. Now I'll explain why I hesitated. I'm getting a lot of emails from a lot of people. From a lot of people who are in the right positions on this project. And this changes many times a day. It really does. So when someone reports that, for example, Oakland isn't this, and they reported something that happened or was said a month or 2 months or 3 months ago, I immediately dismiss it because the conversations between people are regular. Fortress alone had multiple conference calls with Eric Grumman at the NFL this week alone. They were able to basically they were able to cross a lot of issues off the list and drive it down to the A's. The A's issue to me really isn't an issue because you don't want to be seen as kicking another team out of land just because. That's not right. There is enough room to plan for both, to have flexibility, but also, the A's want Howard Terminal. They would love that environment if they could get the right interplay of intergovernmental corporations and organizations to work in their favor, like the Bay Conservation and Development Commission, which has to be dealt with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, the Oakland City Council, the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, all of them. Now, considering how exciting that property is, the mayor wants it, all would fall within lockstep. They would work to make it happen. But it takes time. That is an expensive property to do. Oh, and let's not forget the organization that owns the property, the Port of Oakland. Wow. Now, let's see here. Hey, Zinster, great point. There are a lot of antagonists on the stream, and they say things for shock value, not out of knowledge. Let's see here. And let's see. Walter Spargo says, not one case given in any study ever where the public benefited by giving tax dollars to sports arenas. Well, Walter, I think that, I'm not against public money being spent for sports. It's a matter of how it's spent. And when I say that, I always direct everyone's attention to AT&T Park here in the Bay Area. And that was, to me, outstanding result of public-private partnership, mostly private, about 20% public, involving redevelopment agency backed and sponsored land give. And this is why I say this to the mayor. I said, hey, look, give the Raiders and the NFL the land and let them pay property taxes, because that's what the city and county of San Francisco did in the example of the Giants and AT&T Park. See? Do that. Make it easy. So, let's see here. So we'll come resign. Let's see here. Charles Whitley. Charles has nothing of value to say, so he is blocked.